The chapter is called Money and Credit. Okay, Economics chapter 3. This chapter, as the name suggests, deals with money. And it also deals with the concept of credit or loan, that is what we call loan. Okay, first let's see what is money. And I told you, in this chapter we will be looking into the era before the invention of money. How people used to deal with each other, interact with each other, or do economic transactions before the invention of money. And I'm pretty sure you have heard about this particular term called the barter system. Barter system. If you haven't heard about barter system, here now. Okay, this is a new word for you. Barter system. So we first we I have prepared the slides in like questions and answers, so that I don't have to send you separate questions and answers. Okay, fine. So with this slide itself, you can start writing the notes here. Now, what do you understand by barter system? Barter system was a system that prevailed among people before the invention of money. So this is a system in which people used to exchange things for things. Exchange one thing for another thing. Suppose I need some coconuts, and what I have is some wheat. I give my wheat, I get coconut instead. Or if I want some clothes, I have some pottery with me, pots with me. I sell the pots to that person in exchange of the clothes that he has. So simple system. This is the system of barter system. People used to exchange things for things because there was no money. So once again, what do you understand by barter system? The barter system was used before the advent of money. People used to exchange one thing for another in this system. Clear? As simple as that. Now, but there was a problem in barter system. In barter system, there was a peculiar requirement. Okay, it could happen only if there was this particular situation. It was called double coincidence of want. What is meant by double coincidence of wants? We are going to explain the concept of double coincidence of wants. Double means two. Two coincidence of wants. What I want should exactly be the thing that the other person is offering, or the other person is offering should be exactly the thing that I want. Then only this barter will happen, right? Common sense. Hey, I want some coconuts, and the person doesn't have any coconut. Can I do barter with him? No. And I have coconut. I have wheat. I want coconut. The person has coconut, and he is ready to give coconut. But what he wants is clothes, not wheat. Then will the barter happen? No. So in order for the barter to happen, the person should need wheat, and I should need cloth that he has. This is called double coincidence of wants. What I have should be your need. At the same time, what you have should be my need. This is called double coincidence of want. So in a barter system, we will read this. In a barter system where goods are directly exchanged without the use of money, double coincidence of wants was an essential feature. It means that what a person desires to sell is exactly what the other wishes to buy. The double coincidence of wants was the major drawback of barter system. It was the major feature of barter system. At the same time, it was the drawback. Without double coincidence of wants, no barter could be done. So that was the main major drawback or the limitation of the barter system. Okay. When money came, what was the advantage? So the next question is, how did money benefit human beings other than barter system? What were the advancements in economic activities with the invention of or introduction of money? First of all, money removes the double coincidence of wants. If the other person has got some money, he can give me money instead of what I want, right? With that money, I can go and get what I want. So money acts as a medium of exchange. So when money was introduced, it removed the problem of double coincidence of bonds. That is the first point. Second point, see, I have a jackfruit with me. I can't carry the jackfruit everywhere I go, right? So if I sell this jackfruit and convert it into money, I can store the value of that money and easily carry that money in my pocket, in my purse. So that was the second advantage. It takes money, takes less storage. It is easy to carry, and it can store value of a particular commodity. I have got this laptop. I don't have to take this laptop to anyone. If I want to sell this and buy another laptop, I don't have to take this laptop. I can sell it and get the money and go to another shop and buy it. Buy another laptop from there. Otherwise, I would have to take this laptop to every shop where I go. Okay, that's it. Then liquidity of currency is easier. There is a new term. This term I have given. Okay, this term is not there in your textbook. This is a very important economics term. You will study about this particular term when you are studying in +2 and your graduation. Liquidity. Liquidity means the easiness for converting the value of a particular thing into money. In simple words, how easy it is to sell a thing or give a thing. Okay, I have got one acre of land here. Does it have any liquidity? No. If I want to sell that land, I will have to wait at least for 1 or 2 months. Okay, I need some buyer. Then we will have to bargain the price. Sometimes I may not be ready to sell this at the price that person offers. On some other occasions, the person may not be ready to give the money that I demand. Then it takes some time. So liquidity means how fast you can convert something into money. That is called liquidity. So currency has got very high liquidity. You want to exchange currency for anything, it is very easy. Everybody accepts our currency, right? I'm going to the shop and I tell the shop owner, I need 1 liter of milk. Here is 25 rupees. Sorry, 50 rupees for milk. And actually, 1 liter milk is 46 rupees now. Okay, 40. Here is 46 rupees to give me 1 liter of milk. He gives me the milk. But instead of that, if I go there and tell him, I'll give you 10x. Could you please give me 1 liter of milk? And he will hesitate. First, he will think whether I need this egg. And he may not have the facility to store this egg. So he may refuse it. But he will never refuse money. Okay, that's why it is called liquidity of currency is easier than anything else. Okay, it is easily, liquidity means acceptability of money. Liquidity is very easy. And fourth point, nowadays many instruments are available through which it is not necessary to physically carry the money. We don't have to carry money. We can have our ATM cards, debit cards, credit cards. Nowadays we don't even have to carry ATM cards. We have our mobile and it has got Google Pay or Paytm. We can do online transactions, cashless economy, right? So nowadays it is very easier. It is getting easier and easier. Okay. Early there was online transaction, in which we had to type the number of our card and everything. Now we don't have to type the card number. Our bank account is linked with the Google Pay. We just have to type only four numbers there. Okay, 4-digit PIN code. Then the transaction is done. Well, we get it tick. That's all. Okay, it's very easy now. And money eliminates the problem of double coincidence of bonds. The same point we have given. The value of goods can be stored in terms of money. Value of goods can be stored in terms of money. Fifth point and first point are the same. Okay, I have just repeated. I repeated this question once again, I think. Okay, don't worry. And value of goods can be stored in terms of money. And value of a good can be divided and used separately with the use of money. Oh, that is a very important point. Okay. Let me see whether you will understand this point. the value of good can be divided and used separately with the use of money. I have got a pot, and pot costs 100 rupees. Okay, the price of the pot is 100 rupees. I have made a pot, and what I need is 1 kilo banana and 1 kilo rice. Okay, and banana is sold by one vendor here, and rice is sold by some other vendor there. Now I have got only one pot. If I give this pot to this rice guy, how will I buy banana? Or can I cut this pot into two pieces and give one piece to the rice guy and one piece to the banana guy? I can't do that. So there was a big problem. Okay, I cannot divide the value of a particular good and give that value separately to separate person to get separate things, different things. It was not possible. But now I can sell this pot, convert it into money, 100 rupees, then 30 rupees to the banana guy, and 20 rupees, or sorry, 40 rupees to the rice guy. And I can save the remaining 30 rupees with me. That becomes my saving. I can store the value there. Okay. So this is the advantage of money. I repeat, what are the advantages of money? I have given this question once again. That is, you write this thing. Okay. What are the advantages of money? It removes double coincidence of bonds. Then it takes less storage space and is easier to carry. Liquidity of currency is easier. Nowadays, many instruments are available through which it is not necessary to physically carry the currency. And this point also you write, the value of good can be divided and used separately with the use of money. Okay, did you understand that? So I repeat, money removes the problem of double coincidence of bonds. It takes less storage and it is very easy to carry. And with money, we can store the value of a particular commodity or good. Liquidity of currency is very easy, and the value of a good can be divided and used separately with the use of money. One more point, nowadays many instruments are available through which it is not necessary to physically carry the money. Clear? These are the answers. Next question. That is, why money is called a medium of exchange? Money is called, this was a CBSE question. Okay, it was asked in one of the CBSE board exams in the previous years. That's why I included this question. Why money is called a medium of exchange? Very simple, a simple one-mark question. Since money acts as an intermediate in exchange process, it is called a medium of exchange. Money itself doesn't have any value, right? The paper doesn't have any value, but we assign the value of a particular product into that money, that currency paper. So it is just an intermediate in the exchange process. That's why it is called a medium of exchange. Why money is called a medium of exchange? This is a silly question, by the way. Okay, it is called money medium of exchange because it acts as an intermediate in exchanges. That's it. Clear? Okay, and before the invention of coins and currencies, people used to use many things as currencies. For example, any two of the things used as money in early times. Grains was used as money, and cattle was used as money. Okay, wealth was measured in terms of the number of cattle a person. Now, what constitute modern forms of money in present times? Our currency, we have modern forms of money. Currency includes paper notes and coins. Okay, and demand deposits with banks are also considered as money. Demand deposits, the bank deposits, bank accounts are also considered as money in economic terms. I'll explain to you what it is, why it is. Okay. Anyway, modern forms of money are currency, paper and notes and coins. And in India, the coins are made in which alloy? An alloy of nickel is always used to make coins in India. Okay, fine. That